A recent headline in USA Today read, "Consumer unease with U.S. healthcare grows." And it's no wonder. Americans are rapidly becoming the heaviest people on earth, with overweight Americans now significantly outnumbering those who maintain a healthy weight. 61% of Americans are overweight. Americans pay more for our healthcare than any other country in the world, paying out over $1 trillion in 1997. Healthcare costs are spiraling so quickly that the Healthcare Financing Administration predicts that by 2030, Americans will pay over $16 trillion per year. Recently, the World Health Organization ranked the U.S. 37th best in the world in healthcare system performance. 60 million Americans suffer from some form of cardiovascular disease. According to the World Health Organization, 303 million people worldwide suffer from migraines. 1 out of 13 Americans now has diabetes, and the numbers are still rising. 60 million people a month have heartburn.
Well, for the last 9 years of my life, I've been suffering from Crohn's. I was 10 years old when I started having symptoms, which is blood in my stools. I didn't know what it was. I've been to numerous doctors throughout the 9 years of my life that I've had it. I have been on numerous medications, Asacol, Colazol, and each doctor that I've seen has told me that I needed to take 9 pills a day. And once I figured that out, in my head, 9 pills a day, that's a lot. And I started worrying, what is it doing to my liver? What is it doing to my body? My parents didn't know what to do, so they just said, take your medicine. That's what the doctors say.
I have experienced migraines for over 4 years. I've had 6 different doctors, 2 different neurologists, and finally went to a pain clinic. Throughout the last 4 years, I've had multiple shots and surgeries and, like I say, many different types of drugs. It got to a point where I couldn't do anything at all. I was pretty much stuck in bed 24/7.
In January 2006, I had a quadruple bypass. And it turned out I had diabetes and didn't know it. I'd been taking Nexium for about 10 years at that point. Had a sleep disorder I was taking medication for. And I weighed about 275 pounds. They put me on high blood pressure medications and Lipitor and all sorts of things. When I talked to the doctor, he said I could expect to be on this stuff the rest of my life.
I've had a long bout with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue for over 15 years. My health would get better with supplementation and some alkalizing products. I was seeing some results, but with stress and just everything that comes at you through life itself, I couldn't get above water. I would just feel like I was drowning in a sea of no hope.
A 35-year-old Japanese company is trying to make sure that you don't end up being one of these statistics. And Nagic is using a technology that turns ordinary tap water into what many are calling magic water. They do this with continuous ionized electrolysis water generating systems. These truly remarkable machines have been certified by the Japanese Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare as a medical device and are used in most hospitals and clinics in Japan. They are also endorsed by the prestigious Japanese Association of Preventive Medicine for Adult Diseases and are the only company with an endorsement from this group of medical doctors. Water makes up 70 to 90% of the human body, including 95% of blood plasma. Many health authorities recognize that dehydration is one of the most common causes of illness. Chronic dehydration is often part of a chronic disease process.
3 months ago, my parents brought home this Kangen Water, which we call magic water, and I started drinking it. My parents did not know that I started to do this, but I didn't take my medicine. I started drinking it and I stopped my medicine. No more 9 pills a day, just dropped it. I wanted to see if it would actually work. And lo and behold, it did. I have no more blood in my stool. I've been on the water now for about 3-4 months.
By the third or fourth day, I experienced where I wasn't having horrible migraines. So then I just, said, oh, it's just the spinal cord stimulator that's working. It's not the water. Well, I got a little brave and turned off my spinal cord stimulator, and amazingly enough, I didn't have migraines. A week went by, I still didn't have migraines, and I guess it was about a month later that we finally bought our machine. And it's amazing to me that this water can do anything. It fixes everything. Our health is so much better. My health is so much better. And I'm happy to say that over the last 30 days, I just had surgery to take out the spinal cord stimulator.
I bought a 501 machine, September, and by October, pardon me, I'm getting choked up. My diabetes was gone. Blood pressure normal. And my knee healed itself. And I got off of all my medications. My energy levels have gone up through the roof. My constipation's gone. My hemorrhoids are gone.
My fibromyalgia is so much better. The chronic fatigue, I danced a month ago at my daughter's military ball. I was up there longer than some teenagers, that's amazing. The acid reflux, it took about 4 or 5 months. It wasn't gone like some people say theirs has. Just being able to experience life and not be a recluse in a cave anymore is just awesome.
The body has a truly remarkable and complicated water regulating system that rations water when it's in short supply, until it receives unmistakable signals that it has access to an adequate supply. The problem is that some organs, like the brain, are higher on the priority list for water than others. Symptoms are the result of stressed organs that are dehydrated. This is much the same type of signal your car would give if the cooling system were overheating while climbing a steep hill. In both cases, if proper measures are not taken, a breakdown can occur.
Well, most people know that the human body is about 75% water. And one of the ways I like to explain that and put it in perspective for the average person is to say that we take that 10 gallons of water out of a 150-pound person and we dump it into a fish tank. And when you put it in a fish tank, you add your fish, and then you have to start feeding the fish. So we're going to dump our fish food in the top. We're going to let the fish swim over and eat the fish food, and then they're going to digest that food and use it for energy, and then they're going to put the waste back out into the water. And what happens is over time, the fish keep doing that process. We keep feeding them, they keep eating, they keep pooping, and pretty soon that water gets really dirty. Now, most of us know that when the fish start to get sick, something has to happen. So we have to change the water. The cells in the body are just like that, just like the fish, in that they too are fed by the water that they swim around in or are bathed by. We call it interstitial fluid. And that water basically has to be carrying in the food, carrying in the oxygen to each individual cell, and it helps carry it through the cell wall. Just like the fish has to get on the inside, and it's metabolized, and then the waste are expelled back out into the interstitial fluid, or the fish tank if you want to think of it that way. And the secret to health is the efficiency at which you do that process, taking the good things in, getting rid of the bad things.
When asked how much water they drink each day, most people answer, not enough. We know that we should drink more water, but most of us don't make it a high enough priority. In fact, many people are confused as to how much water a person is supposed to drink.
Mainly a lot of patients that come in, they have a lot of constipation problems, and it's because they don't drink water. And so it's very common when they come in. A lot of times they haven't had a bowel movement, sometimes only once a month, and that's hard to believe, you know, how they've gone that long, but we see it all the time. And then I ask them, well, how much water do you drink? Well, maybe a glass, you know, a day, maybe a glass of water a week. I drink a lot of tea, coffee, things like that, which is diuretic, so that makes them more constipated.
Most doctors will tell you that we should drink 8 8-ounce glasses of water per day. But is it a one-size-fits-all answer? Common sense would indicate that a 250-pound person would need more water to maintain their 75% hydration level than a 125-pound person. And what about someone who is very physically active or someone who works in a hot climate versus a person that is sedentary and perhaps stays indoors the majority of the time?
Think of the last time that you went out and exercised really hard. Maybe it was intentional at the gym, maybe it was unintentional, maybe you just went for a hike with some friends and got into a more serious hike than you intended. Think back to how you felt the next morning after that physical exertion. And many of you will relate to the person who could hardly roll out of bed. The muscles were screaming, everything hurt. And the reason for that is pain and inflammation, and that's caused by an accumulation of lactic acid and other metabolic wastes. The body was not able to eliminate those as quickly as they were being produced. So the end result is you don't feel good. End result is you're sick and you're stiff and you have joint and muscle inflammation, and you know, life is not fun. Now, depending on how efficient your body is over time at getting rid of those depends on how long it takes you to recover from that exertion. And one of the neat things is by putting the best water in the body and the best fuels in the body, we can recover from that process very quickly and very efficiently.
So my experience with the Kangen alkaline water was actually pretty amazing. My husband came to me a day before my triathlon race and he recommended that I drink the water. And I said, water's just water. And he said, just try it. So myself and 2 of my friends tried the water the day before the race and during the race. And I didn't prepare as well as I should have or could have, but I did drink the water. We all had our best race times. We were so impressed. We had less fatigue. Muscle soreness was almost nothing. Usually after a race, I'll come home and I want to sleep. We actually went to dinner and we had a full day playing with the dogs in the park, so it was really amazing that water is just not water.
Many healthcare experts now recommend that you drink a minimum of 1/2 of your total body weight in ounces of water each day. One reason that people don't drink enough water is that all too often water just doesn't taste very good, so we drink other beverages instead of plain water. Unfortunately, many of these beverages are polluting our internal environment and reducing our body's thirst mechanism in the process. And then there's the problem of how clean and safe the water is to drink. It seems that every few days we hear about another pollutant being found in our water. Chemicals are being put into the water supply by the water treatment facilities across the nation, most of which are not good for us. Then we learn that every time someone takes a pharmaceutical or flushes unused drugs down the toilet, they end up in our water supply as well. This problem has led to one of the largest new industries in America, the bottled water industry, which raked in $12 billion in 2007. In 1990, Americans bought 2.2 billion gallons of bottled water. Last year, we consumed 8.8 billion gallons, an increase of more than 300%. Industry experts point out a number of factors for this increase: the convenience it brings to our mobile society, our healthier habits and healthier lifestyles, and the perception that bottled water is safer and tastier than tap water. But is the water in those bottles really healthy to drink? Let's take a look at just one company to see what's happening in this growing industry. Coca-Cola has 30 plants across America bottling their Dasani water. The source of this water is the local municipality. And for your information, the FDA does not require that purified or bottled water have the source of the water listed on the label. It takes about 72 billion gallons of water a year worldwide just to make the empty bottles. The energy used each year making the bottles needed to meet the demand for bottled water in the United States alone is equivalent to more than 17 million barrels of oil. That's enough to fuel over 1 million cars for a year. This filtered water is then placed into plastic bottles and shipped all around the world. But even if this were the answer to our drinking water problem, it just created another major problem: plastic bottles overrunning the landfills of our nation. The bottling companies want us to believe bottled water is the answer to our water problem, so that we will continue to buy it. Bottled water has now become the second largest beverage segment behind soft drinks. In 2003, the California Department of Conservation estimated that roughly 3 million water bottles are trashed every day in that state. At this rate, by 2013, the amount of unrecycled bottles will be enough to create a 2-lane highway that stretches the state's entire coast. Bottling companies are even trying to make consumers believe by having the word water on the label somehow makes it good for you. Vitamin water is the worst health drink. Filtered bottled water is considered dead water by the Japanese and is also potentially full of organochlorines and other chemicals from the plastic containers it is sold in. Consider that fish don't do well in reverse osmosis or distilled water, and neither do your cells. Every person wants to feel better and have more energy, no matter how fit or unfit they are. This Japanese company, Enagic Incorporated, has discovered what many scientists are now telling us. The quality and quantity of water that we put into our body is extremely important for the peak performance and health we are all looking for to enhance our lives. We know that clean water is important, but researchers are now saying that there are additional traits to the best water for us to drink.
Luckily for us, there is a company now making a machine that will make the perfect water. And it helps our body act and operate in a more efficient manner. It carries that fuel and oxygen into the cell more efficiently, it carries the waste out of the cell more efficiently, and it just lets us function better.
Researchers have discovered that the most consistent trait of long-lived clusters of healthy people on the planet is the water that they drink.
Nature actually makes water in a couple of different ways, and we have rain falling out of the sky, and we also have the accumulation of snow high in the mountains. And we found from research that the most important water and the best water for all living organisms is that water that comes from the glacier and the snowmelt high in the mountains. And scientists have now been able to tell that there's a difference in the structure of water. The difference is really two things. There's a 5-sided or a pentagonal structure, and there is a 6-sided or hexagonal structure. And the 6-sided structure, many people call microclustered. The reason for that is because it tends to be clumped together in 3 to 5 molecules, where the 5-sided structures tend to clump between 15 and 100 molecules. And so the water doesn't break down as well. The surface tension is much higher.
In his book, The Water Puzzle and the Hexagonal Key, Mu Shikzan, PhD and one of the foremost water authorities in the world, states, hexagonal water is energetically more powerful. It is the obvious biological choice. Hexagonal water moves easily within the cellular matrix of the body, helping with nutrient absorption and waste removal.
Last August, I was in a wheelchair due to knee pain, needing knee replacements. My knee pain had gotten so severe over 2 years, and my quality of life had virtually ended. A friend of mine told me about the Kangen Water in September, and I ordered a machine. And the first thing that happened was in the first 2 days, all of a sudden 10 pounds just melted off my body. Well, that was pretty exciting. Day 1 to 9, no changes happened in my pain, but I woke up on day 10 pain-free. And a week later, I'm pain-free. And it's 6 months later, I'm pain-free. I can walk out of my house and I have my life back.
I ended up in the hospital for about 3 weeks. Around the clock, 24 hours a day, I had a 1-hour IV drip for 2 weeks before I got out of there. When I got out of there, my leg was still swelling from time to time. My blood sugar was still erratic. All right, I was still having major problems with weight control. And then a year later, friends of ours brought us this water to try, and what happened was those symptoms that were staying with me, they were bugging me, even though I was there treating other patients, they still bugged me, right? Started to rescind. They started to reverse. I started losing weight, the circulation came back to my leg didn't swell as much. I started seeing results in me.
So how can we drink this wonderful water? About 40 years ago, Russian scientists discovered that by running water past magnetically charged plates, they could separate the water into two streams, one that is alkaline and one that is acidic. This process is called ionization. The Japanese have improved upon this process so that it's now possible to turn tap water into living, highly energized alkaline water. This water is also high in antioxidants to slow down the aging process while increasing the oxygen available to the body. In its natural, healthy state, the human body is slightly alkaline. Those who are able to maintain this alkaline state experience increased physical vitality and stamina, enhanced mental clarity and acuity, increased ability to get along with other people, increased optimism and vision, hastened recovery from illness, injury, allergies, trauma, and increased resistance to illness.
Personally, I've had acid reflux, and drinking alkaline water for the past year, I have no discomfort from acid reflux. I sleep like a baby at night, and I go every time I eat. Therefore, my colon is clean.
As for myself, I was pretty healthy prior to changing the water, but I have experienced increased energy and less leg fatigue by drinking the water. And despite the fact that I wash my hands frequently throughout the day, being in the medical field, you have to do that, and also the fact that I'm exposed to a lot of disinfectants that we use on our medical equipment, my skin has not been as dry. My skin has been a lot softer this year as compared to last year when I had severe dryness, which led to very painful, cracked, and sometimes bleeding hands.
Oxidation is the rust on a pipe or the breakdown that occurs when you cut an apple and it turns brown. Oxidation is also called aging. Antioxidants slow down or stop that process and are found in many fruits and vegetables from Mother Nature. Hexagonal Kangen water has 3 to 8 times the antioxidants of green tea. The Japanese call this Kangen water. Kangen translates to return to origin.
In the early 90s, I had the chance to go to Japan and see the technology that we're talking about used in clinical applications in hospital settings. And I saw some things that made me stand back and really evaluate some of the things I'd been taught about medicine and health. And I saw water doing things there that blew my mind. And as a result of that trip and seeing some of those miracles with people who had things like eczema and psoriasis and diabetes and neuropathy, I came back with a strong desire to get one of these machines and have the water available to use in my clinic and to share with my patients and friends and family and myself. And so I came back and I bought a water ionizer, and I have to be honest, I was very disappointed in the results. I gave a lot of water away and people just didn't notice any difference, and then I really couldn't say that I did either. Treating some of the people with those terrible skin conditions, even acne, it didn't seem like the water was making any difference. So I knew that at that point that ionizers were not all created equally. So that began a search for me and a journey of looking for and finding the best ionizer out there that would accomplish what I wanted it to accomplish to help the most people with the most health challenges. So as a result of that journey, I have gone from one machine to another. I've actually, over the last several years, purchased I've purchased 7 water ionizers from different manufacturers. And I will say some work a little bit better than others, but none really, truly did for my patients and myself what I expected. So I was a little bit disheartened actually, and I thought, well, they just must have something really special in these machines that are made for the hospitals and the clinics and on a big scale, and we just can't get those in a consumer-sized version here in the United States. But in July of 2006, I was invited to a meeting that was a celebration actually that was being done by a company called Enagic, and went to Los Angeles, California, met the president of the company there, Mr. Oshiro, and although I wasn't able to understand everything that was being said in Japanese because the meeting was in Japanese, I tried the water and I knew there was something special about that water. I could taste it, I could see the difference, I could feel the difference in my body. And after drinking the water, I slept more sound than I had in a long time. I have to be honest with you, I've never had a lot of health conditions and or challenges, but I slept better and I woke up with less sleep, feeling fully rested and energized, and I had even more energy than normal. And that got me excited. So I bought a machine that following day and got one in my clinic and started giving water away. And I have to tell you, it's just been an absolute miracle what I've seen since. Patients are coming in and getting water. They're bringing their friends in, they're bringing in their family, and they're taking water home and drinking it, and they're coming back and saying, I gotta have some more magic water. And when you ask them what they're noticing, everything from, I see I'm using less insulin if they're diabetic, I'm having less pain, I have better sleep, I'm not as depressed, I'm not as anxious. The things they're telling me is absolutely phenomenal. And I've come to realize just how important this foundational part of our body really is. You know, we are 75% water, and we overlook it, we take it for granted. And as I see the changes occurring in patients, what I'm coming to realize more and more every day is that the water is the key. All the other things are secondary. The water is in nature the greatest solvent. The water is the solution in which all chemical reactions take place in the body. The water is the foundation, and as people drink it, amazing things take place inside their body.
These amazing machines don't just produce water for drinking, but also water is used to clean and disinfect your home. You can clean your floors, carpets, toilets, showers, and countertops. You can use it to get rid of a stain on clothing or to wash your clothes in the washing machine. It also makes a beauty water for the skin that will rival the most expensive lines of beauty products. It produces a water to clean and disinfect your food. People are amazed at all the things you can do around the house with ionized water.
Rather than grab one more pill or one more medicine or one more herb or one more anything, you know, maybe stop and think about, what could I do if I just drank a little bit more water? And particularly the right water, because it does make a big difference.
Drink Kangen water and experience the difference for yourself.
Putting this wonderful water in your body absolutely is one of the best preventive maintenance things that I personally know of, and I recommend it to everybody that I talk to.